is Rhiannon Barry, and I am a self-taught visual artist and creative activity developer. I am a visual artist, and you can find some of my work hanging in the Hub Art Gallery at 4333 Queen Street in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I do whimsical acrylic paintings and favor dreamlike nature and water scenes, having grown up in Northern Ontario. I also do abstract portraits and paintings and offer meaningful messages and depict complex emotions. I find solace and comfort through the act of creating, and I offer this in my classes as well and encourage people to explore their emotions with art. Recently, I was chosen to show in the City of St. Catharines annual juried art exhibit. This year's theme is resiliency, which I found very fitting. And last year, I was also chosen to show in that exhibit, and that theme was truth and reconciliation. So I was honored to have been included. I did study journalism and photography and social service work, and I am currently pursuing my certification in art therapy and psychology counseling. So providing a focus on calming and mindful experiences is something that I build into my programming, and myself, along with Adele H. Campbell, who is a visual artist and who has also taken courses in art therapy and psychology, we have developed day and overnight wellness retreats that incorporate art, of course, but also the psychological benefits of practice in green and blue space, as well as how to set intentions for a successful self-care plan. And we have a variety of different options and locations coming up, so please check those out. And then along with that, I also do something called Creative Conversations Pen Pals Project. The deadline to sign up for that is September 23rd, and it begins on the 24th, and it runs for 3 weeks. And I match you up with somebody who is also interested in creating art, and you feed off each other in a call and response style, and it all culminates in an online virtual exhibit and artist chat that you can share links to your friends and family and show them what you created. Today's guest, Kat, is a witch, and she owns a cute little storefront in Niagara Falls where you can find everything magic and witch related. So, stranger than fiction. Listeners are in for a treat as Kat dispels some of the myths and provides her take on modern day witchcraft. Our story begins with the earliest witches who used the magic spells and communication with spirits to help set intentions for change. Many were like Kat, simply natural healers who chose a profession that was and is often misunderstood. No, you won't catch her riding a broomstick in the night sky, but you will find her offering friendly and helpful guidance in her quaint downtown shop, Cat and Monkey Events on Queen Street in Niagara Falls, Canada. Learn how her resilience saw her through the pandemic-related event and retail shutdowns that affected her business. Enjoy her inspiring approach to going with the flow and finding the positive in it all. This crafty event planner and modern-day spellcaster shares her impressive list of upcoming events in October, including an epic dance party, the Witches' Ball.
I mean, I do get REM sleep because I dream a lot, but for some reason, I snap out of it at about 3:30 in the morning every day, or 4 o'clock, and I'm up for the day.
The witching hour.
Yeah.
Which is fitting because you are a witch.
Yes, I am.
And I know there's a lot of like misconceptions, obviously, about the modern witch. But you follow pagan beliefs.
I do.
Does that mean you're a Wiccan?
No, it does not.
Oh,
I am not Wiccan at all, not remotely. Um, so that's more of a tradition you are initiated into for the most part. Um, I'm not initiated in anything. I kind of do my own thing. I fly by the seat of my pants.
sweet. So I did, like, obviously, I don't know a ton about it, but I did want to pick your brain about some myths about witches, seeing that October is coming up and you are a witch.
Okie dokie.
And I figure maybe you're the right person to give me some insight on some of these. And maybe if there are other people listening and they're confused as well about what exactly you do, this can help clarify things.
Well, I will do my best to answer the questions.
Okay. Yeah. So the first myth is paganism, modern witchcraft, is a new religious movement. True or false?
True and false. The neo-pagan movement is a newer movement, so to speak. Witchcraft has been around since the beginning of time. It's not anything new. It's just depending on your traditions. Like Wicca is a newer tradition in the grand scheme of things. So that's probably where people get that.
Okay. And is magic real?
Yes, of course.
Yes. What's the difference between like the traditional magic and the magic magic?
Okay. So the different spellings.
Yeah.
So magic is magic is magic. But um, that's like ceremonial magic, which is a whole separate thing when you spell it with a K. But it's all just magic, in my opinion.
Right.
There's so many differences in why people spell things. I mean, I usually spell everything with a C unless it's a ceremonial magic thing. Then of course you usually go with a K, CK.
Okay,
but
so that's like a myth too. It's like there's not that big of a difference.
well, there is, because that's a whole, there is, but there isn't. I may have kind of a different opinion on things because than a lot of traditional witchcraft practitioners.
Okay.
It's a lot to explain.
That's very, it seems like it's like up to a person's perspective.
No.
Okay.
No.
Still confused then.
Yeah, ceremonial magic is like a thing. Think of these things as like kind of like paganism is an umbrella term for, pretty much anything not Christian. But not all witches consider themselves pagans. So
yeah, it could be from anywhere around the world. Different. It doesn't have to be like a Celtic background.
No, not at all. Not at all. There's so many different traditions and so many different paths to take. And Celtic is just one of the many, that you can.
Okay, next myth. Are there black and white witches or black and white magic?
This would be something that would be my personal opinion, because you will hear people say, I'm a white witch. I don't practice anything dark, or so. Yes, there are people who consider themselves white witches or people that only do good and don't. For me personally, my philosophy on all things in life is there's a balance to everything. Nature is always balanced. There's no light without dark. There's no good without bad. It's a yin and yang, right? True. So for that question, I personally do not believe that your magic would be very effective if you only stick to one side of what you can do. The saying, a witch that can't hex can't heal. And I fully believe that. I fully believe you need to, it's like learning anything. You can't just learn one part of it and not the whole, encompassing thing. You have to know it all.
Both spells and hexes are true then.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much training do you feel, in your opinion, to cast your first spell?
Oh, okay. Well, to cast I don't know. I wouldn't be the person again, when I teach, I give people the way that I do things and they can tweak that. My way may not be everybody's way, So when you feel you're ready, and I don't think there's anything wrong with just diving in. I do believe in writing your own spells because I believe it makes them more potent for you as opposed to using other people's spells. You know what you want. You know exactly what your goal is. So who better to write that spell than you yourself, right?
So it's about like intention.
Yes, it is. And
Ah.
you are the keeper of, you. Nobody knows you better than you, right? So you know
Mm.
what your goal is. The trick is trying to, because in spell work, you need to be very concise, very specific, or
Mm.
things. And
Can go
sometimes it's kind
wonky.
of,
Yeah.
right. It's kind of like science. I always encourage everybody to write things down and you tweak them as you go along. So you did this time, it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. So you tweak something
It gets
and
better
get
and
a
more
different result,
concise.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how I would answer when you should do it. I mean, that's a personal preference,
Okay.
when you think you're ready, I suppose.
Yeah. And like in your store, Cat and Monkey, you have beginners like spell books or things like that, like that you might recommend to somebody who comes in asking those questions.
Yeah, I do have I don't have a huge selection of books, but I do have a selection of books. A lot of them are written by friends of mine who have been published, and they're very good at what they do. So, we have a Tasseomancy book by Lady Kate in here, which is a great beginner book for if you're trying to learn how to read tea leaves.
Ooh, that's
There's
interesting.
Yeah, very cool. I'm the worst tea leaf reader ever. Don't ever ask me to
I would
do it.
love
It's
to
not
get
my forte.
certified in tea leaf reading.
Well, that's another thing is again, with lots of talents there's no real certification.
Yeah.
You learn from your elders and you learn from your peers. And sometimes I even learn from my students. They'll ask me things that I never thought about in that way. But I don't really, that's another reason that I've never been initiated. No one tradition has drawn me enough to dedicate myself to that. It's a dedication and you're dedicating yourself to that practice. But when it comes to learning something, I don't know that there's any kind of real certificate. I mean, there are. I don't know how much merit I would put in any of
Right.
them.
There's no like regulatory body.
Right, right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a personal thing, right? It's your spirituality. So, I would guess, and in my opinion, I guess there are certain teachers that obviously would hold more merit, if you're going for a course or graduating a course. But you
Yeah.
learn and you just practice a lot. That's one of the problems I find with our community is there's a lot of people that just come in and start doing stuff and teaching, and it's kind of like, I call it a puppy mill. It's just push them out, push them out, push them out, push them out, push them out.
Yeah, like soccer moms or something coming in.
Right.
Yeah,
It takes practice and you have to put in the work and the time and the
for sure.
dedication. So you don't just go take one class and then you're
A
a
witch. Yeah.
professional. Yeah, I think it doesn't work that way. But
I
some people
see.
think it does. So
Yeah. And I can see why they might think that too, because when I was very excited to interview you and be able to pick your brain about some of this stuff. Um, but there's a lot of information out there that's, very like, you can do this really quick and you can get this really quick, right? So yeah, I'm not surprised people think they can walk into your store and then come out and all of a sudden, hey guys, I'm a witch.
right,
Um,
right.
but I see a lot of herbs behind you.
Yes.
And do you want to tell me a little bit about the herbs that you sell and what you use them for? Maybe any classes that you run to help people get started in herbology, or I'm not sure what you call it.
Well, yeah. Most of the herbs I have here I have over 100 or so, probably about over 110 different herbs it's basically for spell work. So we've got everything from, I don't know, bay leaves to yarrow to you name it, we've got it. They're all locally grown and sourced not all, most of them are locally grown and sourced, with no pesticides or anything. People use them for teas. People use them for spell work. I do have a lot of baneful herbs that I don't particularly sell unless it's to someone I know is an experienced practitioner, because you can die from taking them.
That's what baneful is?
Yes. They're
That like
dangerous herbs.
foxglove and stuff like that?
Things like there. There's lots of, yeah. So I don't particularly advertise that, only because, it's not something I would sell to the general public, only because what if something happened, so we've got tons of herbs. It's mostly used for spell work.
And you lead classes on that, or events that include that?
That's a tough question to answer, only because we've been in a lockdown for so long, and I haven't taught a class in like almost 2 years now. So normally when we do classes, yes, there would be herbs that you would potentially be using in the class. When I teach, I'm very hands-on. So we use things from the cabinet. We make things. I'm a hands-on kind of learner, so I like to teach that way. I find it less boring too than me droning on for hours.
Talking in front of people.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's always better to have something to do, and in my opinion, because that's the way I learn best. And I know a lot of people learn best that way, by seeing and doing, because you can explain something to somebody, but they still don't have the practical idea of how to use it,
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, I get it now.
Right. Because they're doing it themselves. They're watching me and how I do it. And then I explain to them, you can do it your own way if this doesn't feel right to you, because spell work is all essentially what feels right to you in the end.
That's very free.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I love about witchcraft, is it's your own, partially your own way of doing things. So there are some things that require specific instructions that you have to follow. But
this brings me to another myth. Do you have to be part of a group or like a coven to be a witch, or can you practice alone?
No, you do not have to be a part of anything. I'm not a part of a coven, never have been. I've been doing this for 40 years. But you can be. It's always nice to have. That's why I started Niagara Witches and Pagans, which is just basically a social group on Facebook for people to share stories, ask questions. We used to do a lot of group activities. We'd have pagan meetup once a month at the shop. Before that, when it initially started, we had them at my house. So people would come, we'd do little things like maybe practice reading with tarot, practice tea leaf reading, just sit and chat about anything esoteric, metaphysical, cult-worthy. A good time to socialize for those people who don't want to be in a coven, because not everybody does. Not everybody wants that structure. There is structure to being in a coven or being initiated into a tradition. You have things you have to follow, and and some people love that. That's part of it's a feeling of community, a feeling of family. And I've just never felt I needed that. I know a lot of practitioners who just practice on their own and do their own thing, but do like to come out to events to meet other people who are like-minded.
Like for somebody like me who grew up with so many sisters and brothers around, I gravitate more towards like groups when I do like social activities. But and I think it just depends on who you are, what your personality is, and where you would fall on that spectrum.
Yes, most definitely. Some people just prefer to be alone and do their own thing, and really don't have the need to talk with others about what they're doing, and and that's perfectly fine. To each his own. That's the thing I love about my community, is the pagan community is very to each his own. You do what you want to do. That's your choice. I always said I have 5 kids. I would never presume to tell any one of them what their spiritual path is. They can be atheist, they can be Roman Catholic. That's up to them. I can't tell them just because I practice something that's what they need to practice. It's a personal choice.
Yeah, but I know one of your daughters is very into it with you going
Yes.
to Salem. She showed me her design for her dress that she was going to be making. Did you guys end up getting there that year or did COVID?
No, COVID kiboshed that for sure. Unfortunately, because that's my favorite trip that we take.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I've talked with you about this before and you light up when you speak about Salem.
I love New England. Like it's the most beautiful coastal little towns and just beautiful scenery, the ocean. I love Massachusetts. I love Salem. I enjoy going there. We get to go up to Maine. I love Maine. It's also beautiful. And it's calming. It's a very relaxed, mellow vibe.
Like
So
by the sea, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
it's got all those good ions coming off the water.
it does, and the ocean is my thing. So I totally
Yeah,
soak it up
you're a
when I'm
water
there.
girl. Yeah.
I am. I am.
And you were saying that's why you love being in Niagara Falls as well as all that water.
I do. I've been drawn to Niagara Falls since I was a kid, funny enough. I used to dream about it when I was really little. I dreamt like there was how your brain makes different things in your dreams. Like it was this house that had like secret passageways. And when you went out, one of them in the back was Niagara Falls. And this is from when I was a kid. And it's not like I'm from Toronto. We didn't spend any time here or anything like that. It was just always, that was a reoccurring dream I had many, many, many times over the years. So I've always been drawn here and I don't think I'll ever leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you just moved there too, right?
Well, we live in Port and we're moving back at the
Oh.
end of in 2 weeks. So I'll be happy to get back. Trust me. I didn't enjoy, I love Port Colborne. It's a beautiful place as well, but I just feel, when you have that place that feels like home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I don't know. I spent most of my like childhood on the North Shore of Lake Superior, but I came down here every summer, so I'm really torn all the time. And like
Okay.
if I had a choice, maybe somewhere in the middle is where I would settle.
Really?
Yeah,
Maybe
like
maybe you just have like that home feeling for both places and you're meant to
I
go back and forth.
I do. It's very crazy. And even like when I was like I came up here for good when I was 11, but then I went back for trips 14 and 17 and then 19 this whole summer of 1920 and 21 I worked at an inn up there and went to school in Sudbury. So like I'm just like spread out across that terrain because I was going up there at Christmas and down here at Thanksgiving and like yeah, I
Right.
guess that whole stretch is home.
Best of both worlds,
Very
right?
familiar, that highway.
Right, right. Actually, I like it up there. I have a girlfriend of mine, her grandparents used to live up by Sudbury. It was so pretty. What a nice drive. It's a nice drive.
Yeah, the town is when I was there was a little dingy. They had done the regreening, but like the factories and
Oh, okay.
the mine. But yeah, I went to school there for 2 years. But I'm from like a little. I was born in St. Catharines, but from like 3 until 10, I lived up near Thunder Bay, but
Okay.
on an island across from a little village called Rossport off the Transcan. Yeah, so that's
That sounds beautiful
I grew
on
up
an
like
island.
finding
Wow.
toads and tadpoles and
Yeah.
fighting the wind and the snow to get to the school bus.
That's a great childhood though, on an island. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
and that's why I
Yeah.
kept going back up when I was in my teens, right? Because perfect space for summer campfires and things like that. And there was always work because the tourists came in on the government dock on their yachts and whatnot. So tips were great,
Right, right.
but it was
Oh,
right on
that
the
sounds
water.
nice.
So
That sounds nice. That sounds kind of like a dream. I could see how you'd be very torn between
yeah,
the two spaces for
yeah. So
sure.
I'm actually I this summer I was looking in between.
Okay.
Yeah. I went up
Nice.
to Manitoulin Island and all around that area looking at properties and things like that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I hope you find something that makes your heart happy, you
Me
know?
too. That's
Yeah.
the ultimate goal,
Yes, it
right?
is. It is the ultimate goal to have a happy heart for sure.
All right. So I wanted to ask you when I sent you the preliminary questions. Um, I said, if your life were a novel, what would the title be? And you came back with Stranger Than Fiction. Do you
Yes,
want to elaborate on why you chose that?
because my life is crazy ass weird. It's just crazy weird. It's crazy weird all the time. Like I couldn't write. I don't know. I don't think Stephen King could write my life and it be any. He wouldn't have to add anything. It's about as weird as it gets. I love it that way. I wouldn't change it for the world, but my life has never been, for a little girl who grew up thinking all the traditional things that she wanted in life, typical, I want to get married and be married for 100 years and have, 2 kids and live in this little house with a white picket fence, because that was fully me. I was I'm a Pisces, so daydreaming about this perfect little life, right? And my life has been nothing remotely like
No.
anything that I thought. Every path I thought I was going to take, it didn't turn out that way, and I wound up on a completely different path. The people in my life are not the people I ever thought would be in it. And the situations that I have endured over the years are just weird. You could write a pretty good like soap opera.
Oh, okay. Because you mentioned Stephen King, so I'm thinking horror, but
horror soap opera slash, I don't know, a little bit Dean Koontz, maybe something else that's, sci-fi. It's yeah.
Just stranger than fiction. Yeah.
It is stranger.
We wouldn't believe you if you told us.
No, there are certain things where people are like, really? Because it's weird life, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Okay.
No.
So that explains why you said that you are constantly resilient.
Yes, I have to be.
Yeah, especially as a business owner in COVID as well. But you were saying that this was actually a chance for you to relax.
It was like a reset vacation. When it hit, I realized when we were stuck at home and I had nothing to do but be in my house like I used to be when I was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
How much I actually do every day, all day. Like it's nonstop. I'm either driving around or in the shop or trying to get 1,000,001 things done. And that's like every day, daily, all the time, unless I'm traveling. And then I'm traveling, which in itself, it's fun, but it's work.
You're always alert. Yeah.
Right. So I realized, wow, this is weird, just being at home, and what do I do? And so it was like a little vacation where I had nothing to do, and a big reset for just remaneuvering how you handle things, how you handle people, pretty much. So
yeah, it made you I think for all of us, for many of us, it made us pause and take stock, but then also understand how people were reacting around us better because we were able to pause. We're usually you're just reacting to somebody's actions when you're so busy because your attention is so split.
Right.
But when your attention isn't split, you actually have a chance to sort of be like, I'll react later.
Right.
I kind of understand what's going on.
Well, for me, it was a very big cleanse of negativity in my life that I did not need. So it's actually kind of weird and crazy. I mean, I'm tired of the pandemic now, just because it's been so long, but it cleaned out my life to the point where I'm so much less stressed. It's one of those things where certain people will remove themselves from your life and you realize how much stress they caused you because now it's not there.
Yeah. And you were holding on to try to fix it for a long time. And then like, you didn't realize by holding on for so long, you left claw marks in it. And for what? Right. For what?
So it was kind of a good thing for me.
That's good.
I feel happier and lighter. And just more complete, like, and focused on future stuff.
It's like you got rid of all the crap.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
when you have time to clean finally.
Yes. Yes, it is. That's exactly what it's like. I cleaned out everything and it's great.
All the cobwebs are gone.
They are.
Okay, so then that kind of brings me to, I remember walking into your store twice during the pandemic. I came in the first time, you were moving things around and things looked great, but you were still moving things around and you weren't quite done. And you had all these new shelves in there and whatnot. And previously it had been like tables and spacious and room for events and welcoming to people. And then I saw it came back in again, and like about a month or so later, and it was full blown retail. So do you want to talk about your decision to go retail during COVID?
Well, it was the only decision I could make because being an event company, we couldn't have events. And it got to the point at the beginning of the pandemic where, okay, we're okay. Let's see how long this lockdown lasts and when we can get back to doing what we're doing. And then we kind of realized, okay, it's not going back to normal and we still can't have events and I still can't teach class. And we're just doing nothing with our business. And, Christina's a massage therapist. So no massage going on and just nothing. Right. So it got to the point where I said in the summer, well, maybe I'm going to have to make a decision on whether I want to keep going in this direction or whether I want to just give it up and concentrate on the house and family. And I was kind of loath to do that because this business is my life. So,
and you worked very, very hard at starting it, keeping it afloat, building it.
Right. And I didn't want to give it up. So I figured, well, we got to do something so that we can keep open. What's allowed to be open? Retail.
Right.
So even if they can't come in, curbside pickup is available. I didn't really want to go the online route because I'm not a computer person in the slightest.
And that's a lot more work than it seems.
Yes, it is. And I don't want to be shipping things to people. And I mean, I'm sure I could. I don't want to do it. I'm an in-person person. I'm a local person. So I like to keep it that way. Like I always tell everybody I'm happy to be like, Niagara Falls. I'm good with that. So we just started loading the shop up with products and I started making more products and, that I haven't made in some years, but I started doing my own candle line again and it turned out well. I mean, right now I have no candles left because they sell really well.
What kind of candles are you selling?
Magical candles. So I do them with the phases of the moon and add certain herbs and crystals to them. And of course, spell work. I do a lot of custom orders for people. And actually my most popular candle is the Tree of Life candle. I can't keep them in. People apparently love that one. So I do a lot of elements, roots, which is for earth, and wind, and the ancestor candles. And so, but Tree of Life is always the most popular. So I've been doing that. I haven't had time to make any. And I also always, I will never make a product unless I'm in a really good frame of mind because I believe in your spell work. You don't want to add any negativity or stress or anything. And I've been super stressed recently because I'm moving. I'm trying to pack my house and it's just too much. So I take a break from that.
Moving is a huge life stressor.
It is. And I don't usually get stressed about stuff like that. It's just it's in conjunction with a combination of other stuff and having to be out of my house and, buying a new house. And it was very hard to find a new house because everything's a bidding war right now.
Yeah.
And there isn't, you got to grab one right away or you don't get it kind of thing. So I haven't really made any candles just because I like to wait until I'm in that good space and to make anything that I'm making for sale. People should have the benefit of my happiness in whatever I'm making, right?
And that's true. That can translate into anything you do in life. Like
right.
If you're doing it in a frustrated, stressful period of time, it's not going to turn out as well.
Right. Well, with the exception of, I do write poetry
Oh, okay. Yeah. Art is the exception.
Yes. So
True.
there's a lot of things like that. You harness that I'm crying because life sucks and everything is horrible, and I'm going to put this into my poetry. And my poetry is all macabre. So
Mm.
it fuels that. And I come up with some really great stuff in the worst times of my life. Right. But for spell work, unless it's meant to be
Yeah.
something to that purpose, I try to be as happy and content as possible.
Yeah. And I want to like there's a meme that I saw that sort of struck me as maybe true. Again, another myth question for you, but it said something about the root of the word spells is spelling and
Right.
comes from anything you write down can be a spell. Pop
It,
through there.
it's true. And, like I'm always telling people, when you're saying things, that's spell work. I mean, whatever comes out of your mouth, if you're believing it and you're saying it, spell work. That's part of spell work, is believing what you're saying and projecting it and asking for whatever it is you want to ask for, or making that come to fruition. So when you're negatively saying things about whether it's yourself or someone else, it is a form of spell work.
Going
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You're putting it out there, and sometimes that's not always a good thing, and then sometimes it is. I guess it depends on the situation.
Yeah. So if you're setting intentions for yourself or goals, it's a good thing.
Right. Right.
Um, so I wanted to ask, because you are a very resilient person and you seem to constantly be resilient. I see you have a good optimism whenever I see you. You have a smile on your face for everybody who walks in the door or comes and sees you. You seem to have, I'm only speaking from my observations, but you seem to have a good moral compass. And
I think I do. I like to think so.
and a good energy, and also a good like emotional like flexibility, obviously throughout COVID here. So I wanted to ask you about the people who might have had a hand in that, and maybe are people who inspired you to be like that and help formed you. So I know you mentioned your grandmother and your parents. Can you talk a little bit about how they inspire you and how they formed or helped to form the person you are today, and that those pieces, those really positive pieces of yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm lucky that I come from a wonderful family. I've had a wonderful upbringing. My parents are probably the two best parents you could ask for. My grandmother was my best friend. She was a wonderful lady who always encouraged anything and everything I did. I get my positivity from her. She was never negative about anything. It wouldn't matter what happened. She would never say the negative thing. She would always say the whatever positive thing could come out of it. She would never ever utter negative stuff. And so I think I always try to emulate that. I know sometimes I fail. She was they don't make them like that
It's
anymore.
hard to live up to a good grandmother.
It is,
I
because she
try,
was
like
the
I
best.
try to, so I get where you're coming from.
Right. So it's example, when I got pregnant the first time, I was only 18, and she was the first person I told because I knew she wouldn't be negative about it. And I figured my parents were going to murder me. So so I told my grandmother, and of course, in true nanny fashion, she was completely positive about it, and obviously not the path she would have chosen for me, but it's happening. So what can I do to help, and what steps can you take to ensure that you're not stressed out, and because that's not good for the baby, and you're happy, and what can we do to make things good for you? And she was always just like, most people wouldn't have been positive about that. My parents weren't so jazzed at first, but, obviously they came around. And actually that helped shape a better relationship for myself and my father. When I had my first son, that was his whole universe. Everything was
A
different. I
boy.
thought,
Yeah.
yeah. See, you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I had the first boy in my family in 29 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's a
So
thing, right?
that made my grandfather very happy.
Right. And that's how my dad was. That was his boy, right? So it improved our relationship because for a while it was a little stressed there because he wanted me to continue doing my dance and my piano and my studies. And
everything he provided for you, that
right.
he knew how to be a good parent.
Right. So he was slightly disappointed that I didn't follow through with those dreams. But again, when Tyler came along, everything got a lot better. My parents were always great parents. I never wanted for anything. I was actually spoiled rotten. Couldn't have asked for any more than I got. So they were just wonderful parents. They still are. They're still supportive. They're still married. They're still together. My mother's now in her 80s. They're getting up there. They're still, the most wonderful people ever that will help me anytime I need it. They're very supportive, even though they're not people that in any way, shape, or form believe in witchcraft. They'll say things to me like, people pay you to teach them that.
That's funny.
They think it's hilarious. But they're supportive regardless. Right. As long as I'm happy and I'm doing what makes me happy and my kids are happy, they're happy. So that's one of the things I've learned from them is not to be, they'll always give me their opinion, but they don't get too involved in choices that I make. They give me the freedom.
They're not manipulative or they're not
right.
judgy. Yeah.
Right. So they choose how much input they're going to have. And it's usually very like, okay, well, maybe this will happen. My mother's very positive like that too. Well, things will get better or maybe. So I don't know. I think that's kind of where I got my father instilled in me, always being there for your family and loyalty. And my father is a hugely loyal person, extremely hardworking, rose up from, the ghettos in America and came here, worked hard for everything he ever had. And I learned that from him.
Wow. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, they're good parents. And I'm very blessed. I always say, no matter what happens that's wrong in my life, I am far more blessed than I've ever been not. So my grandmother always used to say, you should always try and help people if you can. And so I always try to.
Okay, so then like that sounds really awesome. You have a great family and your dad did instill obviously the hard work ethic, which it takes to run a business. But on top of running your own business, you're also a member of the events team for Queen Street.
Yeah, I'm on the subcommittees of events committee and marketing for the downtown BIA. And
I know you have a lot on your plate because it's October. Do you want to talk about some of those events that you're planning right now and how it's going?
I do have a lot on my plate with everything that's going on at home with the move, and I'm in charge of doing all the events for Season of the Witch on Queen Street this year in October. So we have a lot of stuff coming up, and I'm not completely done organizing everything yet, but some of the things we're doing our usual annual, we throw the Niagara Falls Witches Ball. So it's the 4th annual Niagara Falls Witches Ball. It'll be on the 23rd of October at Jeffro's Barbecue across the street on Queen Street. They're nice enough to provide the space. Considering now my shop is retail, we can't do it in here anymore. So that's awesome. They have a wonderful venue, great food. They're the loveliest people ever. I'm excited about that. We have a slew of classes going on in the shop all of October, and some events happening out on the promenade. Also, the Witches Market on the 16th of October will be held in Taps Brewhouse parking lot. Most everybody who's local to the Falls knows Taps. It's at the very beginning of Queen Street down there. So we'll be doing a Witches Market. Again, they have great craft beer in there.
Yeah,
and
great food too.
Yeah, great food. I know. I try to stay away because it's not helping my figure.
I had a Reuben there the other day.
Oh, nice. I love their wings. We went there for
wings,
years.
classic.
Just eat their wings. Yeah, they're very good. So they're nice enough to let us do that down there. We've got mediumship evening coming up at the shop on the 22nd, which is Friday, with Witch Dr. Utu and Amanda Dubois. Amanda Dubois is a member of Spiritual Niagara. She is a psychic medium, witch doctor as well. They usually do little mediumship evenings and give messages from spirit, which are very well received by their audience, and it's a fun night. We have, for the families, we will be having pumpkin carving on Sunday, the 24th of October, out on the promenade. So if anyone wants to bring their family down and carve a pumpkin and take it home, that will be happening, what time? Around noon. On the Sunday, we have a Devil's Night street party happening on the theme this year is Day of the Dead. So we have a lot of Day of the Dead stuff, decor and things like that happening. So Devil's Night party is on the 30th in the promenade outside. It'll be like a dark carnival, Day of the Dead type event, open to anybody who wants to come. It's also free. We have wonderful class. I'll name you some of the classes that we've got going on at the shop. There's some great teachers. We have Corvus, and he's teaching money magic, and that will be on the 16th, followed by Witch Dr. Utu, making your own broom and enchanting it, which is a great class and super fun.
Wait, I need to ask about another myth.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Do witches really fly on brooms?
Every night, baby.
Okay. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
That's in reference to flying ointment. Yes. So we don't actually hop on our brooms and fly. No. Maybe taking a little bit of a psychedelic flying trip. Yes.
Yeah. So are there mushrooms in those herbs behind you?
I do possess some mushrooms. Yes.
Nice.
I possess it all.
All right. So what other classes are you holding?
Okay. Well, we have Claudia Valdez, and it's awesome because the theme is Day of the Dead, and she teaches a class on the magic and traditions of the Mayans.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that should be a very amazing class on the 23rd of October, just before the Witches Ball. And then she'll be also doing readings at the Witches Ball, which is super cool.
And the Witches Ball is like a bunch of events all together?
Well, the Witches Ball is like a big party. And just think of it as you go in, you dance, there's drumming, there's ritual, there's entertainment, you dress up. Heck yeah. Yeah, there's a prize usually for best costume. I always like to I don't like to say best costume because a lot of them are awesome. I like to go with most creative.
Okay.
You know.
So like homemade is better.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes homemade is awesome. I've seen some really very creative ideas that just tickle me. I like punny costumes and stuff, but this year I think a lot of sugar skulls will be showing up for the party. So that's okay. We have Dr. Tracy Kennedy. This is one that actually I feel like you would be interested in. She's teaching spell crafting for empaths.
Ooh, nice.
Right. So it's kind of different. It's interesting. And that's on the 29th of October. All the classes on Fridays are in the evening from 7 to 9. Another good one is Amanda Dubois on the 17th is teaching sex magic.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, right? Everybody loves that from 1 to 4.
So can you just explain that a little bit in case somebody's a little bit intimidated to attend?
Sex magic?
Yeah.
Nobody will be having sex in the class.
There we go.
Mean. That she teaches things like she did a series last year of or the year before on sex, or maybe it was last year on sex magic. And one of them was masturbation. One of them was, I believe, oral sex, one of them. So it's different techniques and magical things so her one class, I don't know whether she's incorporated all of those into the one class.
And like for people who don't know, like sex can be a big part of
it's magic. A huge part.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good way, even if you're not with somebody or not currently having sex. Masturbation is a wonderful way to add a little oomph to put things out there in the universe. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So again, up your alley would be Amy Paquette. She's an artist and teacher. And Steve Wilson will be doing a cat and a pumpkin painting day outside of Steve Wilson's art gallery on the 3rd of October. We have some events that will be going on the street, and then some of the classes will be taking place in the shop.
Okay.
So it's kind of spread out all over Queen Street. You know, we have scarecrow making contest. So I tried to get all the businesses to make a scarecrow and put it out from October 1st to the 31st. And it just gives people something cool to look at as they drive by Queen Street, adds a little bit of ambiance. And then on the 30th, we have Witch Dr. Utu, Steve Wilson, and Kim I never know how to pronounce her last name. Sturgeon? It's horrible. I'm sorry, Kim. She's the arts and culture coordinator for the city of Niagara Falls, and they'll be judging the scarecrows, and whoever wins gets $100 prize.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on. Ashley from ALK Artwork will be doing a paint night on the 15th of a sugar skull. And we have movie night every Wednesday, which will be horror movies. There's 2 children's ones and 2 family movies and 2 horror movies that probably don't bring your kids to. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. in the Promenade, which is super cool. Yeah, those.
Wow, you have a lot going on.
Yeah, and I'm not remotely done.
Keep going.
So I'm trying. I still have many things that I have to plan, and I'd like to have a couple more things happening out on the street. So I'll be on that for sure.
It's a lot.
It is.
Do you have help with some of this stuff, or?
Oh, the witch doctor helps me.
Okay.
He's half. If I didn't have him to help me, I'd be absolutely in a hole for sure. So he does a lot of the work, along with my window displays and my wonderful window displays.
Yeah, those are very creative.
Yes, they are. He always comes up with something spectacular. Right now we have Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman in the window, which is probably my most photographed window.
Look. Yeah, worth a look.
It is. It's an awesome art piece done by Baba Ted in Michigan. So very cool. I'm happy that he was nice enough to let me have it in my window. And very cool. So, and Witch Dr. Utu will be here for readings every Thursday and Friday from 12 to 5 in my shop all of October, which I'm super stoked about. Great reader and wonderful human being.
Awesome.
So I'm teaching some class too. I have a class. I forgot about that. So I'm teaching, how decorating. It's not really, it is teaching.
More like creative stuff.
It'll be creative. We're going to be decorating traditional sugar skulls.
Sweet.
So that's going to be very cool. And I will probably incorporate some color magic into that,
Nice. Yeah. Color magic is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. It's awesome.
All right. Holy.
Yeah, so that's part of it. But now you know why my life is just crazy.
Now I know why you can't sleep. You got too many like to-do lists everywhere, probably.
I do. I have things in my phone and things on paper and
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you took some time to like speak with me.
Yeah, me too. It was awesome. I'm glad you asked me. I missed your face.
Yeah, me too. I miss being able to just kind of like come in and like, I know the hours are different now, but
they are. I've had to change them a few times only because my life is so crazy. I never know. I'm the only person here usually, or, I do have a couple friends, Alan and Amanda will come in and help me out.
And Amanda's the monkey and cat and monkey.
No, that's Christina.
Oh, that's Christina.
Yeah.
Not Amanda.
No, Amanda's the medium, but Christina's the monkey, but she's not here for 3 weeks out of every month. So that leaves me and she really doesn't run the upstairs. She's more of the spa lady. Yeah. So, and the CFO, because, I'm horrible with that stuff too.
Yeah. Well, you need help. Everybody's got their strengths in different areas. I know I'm partnering with somebody right now. We're developing some creative wellness retreats to help people like de-stress from like burnout and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
But we each have our roles. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have our own strengths and we play off each other's strengths.
For sure. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff that I do if I didn't have the help of my very good friends and family. So
yeah. And that's a good lesson. You can't do everything Kat does without opening yourself up to a little bit of help.
Yes. You have to. How are you going to do it all? There's no way. There's no possible way. I mean, I do a great deal of it, but I could not do it all. I can't be in 5 places at once.
Yeah.
And raise all my kids and run my house and run the store. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you need to know how to delegate.
Yes.
And you need to know when to say no. Right.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah. That's an issue for a lot of us.
Yeah. That's a big issue.
Yep. For anybody who's creative, right? Because you just want to take part in so many different things. Like, oh, that's a great idea. Or you see something on Pinterest or Instagram, you're like, oh, I could put that in the witch's ball.
Right.
Before you know it,
I have got very good at hiring people to do those kinds of things for me. I have a lady who will be doing a lot of the decor for me, and she looks to be extremely promising. So I'm very happy about that. I'm glad I met her. Right.
Awesome. And will your daughter that's excited about, dressing up to go to Salem be around for the witch's ball, or is she in school?
I'm not. Well, no, Kenzie, actually, that is one thing about the pandemic. She actually was going for her Bachelor of Arts. She's a drama major. And when the pandemic hit, they put everything online, and drama online is not
the same.
No, it's not. And it's not. I don't even really see how you could do that. So she actually left school. She was out in London at Fanshawe, and she left school to go work up north in Nunavut. And that's where, so a lot of one of my sons, Kenzie, my daughter, and Christina, my business partner, all work up in Nunavut for 3 weeks out of every month. And then they're back here for 3 weeks. So I'm not sure what their rotation is yet, because they're not here. They've been gone for forever. I'm packing the house myself. So we'll see.
That's a good thing and a hard thing too, but it's a good thing too, because then nobody gets in your way, right? And you're like,
it is, and I do like
plow through.
It was freaky weird though, being at the house by myself for the first time, like ever. And I don't think I've ever been in that particular house by myself with nobody home.
But you have a little one still too, right? So you have a while until empty nest.
Well, they're at my mother's because we're moving from Port Colborne to Niagara Falls. I wanted to enroll them in the schools that they're going to be in.
Yeah, I hear you.
So they're staying at my mom's. So I was actually I've been all
empty
alone.
Nest.
And I will continue to be so until the end of the month when we move, which I guess I'm kind of starting to enjoy the quiet before the chaos.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about what happens when you go to Salem. Like, what are some of the activities that they do there, and how is this tradition being kept alive so much that there's all these giant events every year? Like, what's the draw, and what are the big parts of the events that really get you and your daughter excited?
Well, there's essentially really 2 magical cities in the States that are like the big ones that everybody wants to go to. And it's New Orleans or Salem. So New Orleans, everybody goes in around August time for an event called Hex Fest. And in October, everybody flocks to Salem for Festival of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
So
that's why the theme.
Right. So there's like a big ritual in the square, which is super cool. So everybody is out in this big grassy area that's very public, and there is ritual held there. They have a very large, very amazing, absolutely best witches ball I've ever seen at the Hawthorne Hotel in Salem. And we go because my friend Utu works there. So we go, and he does ritual there. He does drumming, and so we get to tag along essentially, which is
sweet.
Yeah, super, super cool. The costumes there are, you'll never see better costumes anywhere. I've never seen this anywhere except for possibly maybe a Hollywood red carpet.
Really?
People go all out. Yeah, it's insane, the stuff people do there. It's crazy. It's great. There's a bunch of events. My favorite event that we go to is the Dumb Supper. These are all thrown by Christian Day and Brian Kane, and that's my favorite event. It's a very cool, I don't know if you're familiar with the Dumb Supper, but to honor the dead.
Not familiar.
To honor the dead, you eat in silence. You can't speak during the entire dinner, and you eat your meal backwards. So it's like a 7 or 10 course meal that you start at dessert and work your way up to appetizer. So it's a very cool, very spiritual experience to have.
Yeah, it's like a ceremony almost.
It is. It very much is a ceremony, and it's beautifully done the way they do it. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do every year. So
sweet.
That's cool. I'm super sad that I'm not going this year.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
What about New Orleans? Have you been there?
Yes, I have. That is the only reason I like Salem more than New Orleans is very high vibe. If you want to go and have this great high vibe, high energy, just great experience. I mean, it's great. It's a great city. I absolutely adore it, but it's high energy and all the time. And that is not for me. I'm more of the sleepy coastal town kind of gal. So that's why I prefer Salem. It's high vibe, sort of, but no, it's more of a, I don't know, it's just a different energy. But I do love New Orleans. It was a wonderful experience. It was beautiful. Their botanical gardens is stellar, like absolutely stellar. Enjoy going there very much so. It's hot.
Yeah.
You have to like
especially
the heat.
In August.
Oh, hot.
Like, geez,
you definitely
probably lost a few pounds on that trip.
Right. Yeah, you sweat out 20 pounds just being there, but absolutely worth going to. There are so many cool spots to see, so many awesome things to do. It's an experience I think everybody should have at least once.
I think it's on a lot of people's bucket lists.
Right. I believe it is too. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
It's definitely on mine.
Yes. Yeah. But if you're a medium or a psychic or a reader, those are two really great cities to go and work.
You get that energy from too, right? Like from the people.
Right. And they're known for their magical stuff, right? So it's a great city to go work in.
The voodoo is New Orleans.
Right. Hoodoo, conjure, yeah.
Okay. So little coastal town is the perfect setting sort of for Kat. So I wanted to ask you, which is your favorite witch-themed TV show and movie?
Witch-themed TV show and movie.
Or magic.
See, my thing is like stuff like Twilight Zone. That's my favorite.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Anything that's like, because it's otherworldly, yet, I don't know. I mean, it's not witch themed or anything. I do like Sabrina, the new Sabrina. I loved that show. I was like
How
glued to it. I
close is
watched it
it
all.
to like actual, like, are they
They
doing a
actually
good job?
they got some really good elements spot on or very close. Yeah. I mean, the thing that I don't like about those is our community constantly is fighting the stereotypes of what they put in these shows that is ridiculous.
Like the devil and
Like we don't believe in the devil, so it's not a thing, right?
yeah.
Like there's a lot of stereotypes that are developed from those kinds of shows that people genuinely think are a thing. So they'll come in and ask, and I'm like,
Yeah.
not a thing,
Yeah.
and I don't, there's no stupid questions. How are you going to learn if you
I
don't,
know.
if you don't know anything? So I'm
I feel
always
like I know a little bit more already from this
right.
conversation.
Well, I'm always willing to answer questions that if I know the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'm always willing to find somebody who does for
Or
you.
just like have a conversation about it even, right? Like, what if
Right.
this? What if that? Yeah.
Right. But I don't know, my favorite witch themed movie. I like The Witches of Eastwick. I'll probably catch flack
That's a
for
good
that,
one.
but I
That's
love
like
Jack
Jack
Nicholson.
Nicholson. Yeah.
I
I
love
watched that
Cher.
as like a younger, like maybe 9 or 10, I think. And that stuck with
Right.
me. That movie stuck with me.
Yeah, it's a great movie, I
Yeah.
think. But that's just my opinion. And I do love movies that have to do with, I'm a huge sci-fi fanatic. So anything science fiction or Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, that kind of stuff is right up my alley.
Cool. What about like Practical Magic? Did you like that one?
I did like that movie. I thought it was very cute. Yeah.
It was cute. Yeah.
I thought it was cute, but not so much for the witch perspective, just because it was kind of a cute little love story, right?
Yeah.
I guess, I lie. You know what? My favorite witch movie, and I never think of it as a witch movie because it's just my favorite movie of all time, is Wizard of Oz.
Sweet. Yeah.
But I guess it is a witch movie, right?
Yeah. And that a lot of stereotypes came from that as well.
Yes, they did.
The green
But
face and
yeah, that's a
I'm
classic
melting.
though. Judy Garland is my favorite actress. So that movie was just always, from the time I was a kid, my absolute favorite thing ever.
How would they get started if they wanted to contact you?
Oh, well, they can contact me and I'll give them some ideas. It would depend on usually people come in and they talk to me and they tell me a little bit about, what's drawn them to something or why they like a certain aspect of something, or a little bit about their personal life or history. I'm a big, huge believer in ancestor, honoring your ancestors, being an ancestor venerator. I do that in everything that I do. And finding out what your roots are, if at all possible. I'm like so big on like the 23andMe and Ancestry thing now, because you get to see what parts of places you're from. I teach a class called Blended Magic. So it's using, all the different facets of yourself and your lineage and your bloodline to, enhance your magical practice. So I fully believe that you should tap into where your people come from. Where are you from? That's what's made you who you are. It's in your blood. It's your DNA. It's shaped everything. It's all connected, right? And it's all passed down. So I like to talk to people in person, but they can always reach me at Cat and Monkey. My number's 905-351-7312. That's what people do. They call me. I don't know. Or they just pop into the shop.
I'll throw it in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way. I don't, like I could never just tell somebody, oh, here, read this book, because I don't know I need to know what it is you're thinking, or why
you're interested,
or, it helps. And you get a vibe for the person and you can connect with them. I'm just an in-person person.
Okay, cool.
You just get that energy and that vibe and that feeling for who that person is. And I'm very, I'm definitely like a people person. I like to feel people out and see what they're feeling or what they're interested in. You can tell a lot from somebody when you meet them in person. And
Yeah,
you
like
ask
how
them some
you're
questions.
picking out which classes I'd probably be interested in.
Right.
And I think that was dead on, like the empath one. I'm like, yeah, because I have a lot of theories on empathy.
Right. Well, right. I thought, yeah, that's probably be a cool class for you, using your empathic abilities to,
Yeah.
craft some spell work.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, it's a whole thing. I'd have to like actually speak to somebody in person, or, and I always like to arrange, if people call me, I'll say, just come on into the shop anytime. We can just chit chat.
Yeah. So free consultation with Kat.
Right.
Come in prepared to let her know a little bit about your genetic history.
Right.
And a little bit about why you're interested in witchcraft first.
Yes. Some people don't know their genetics, and some people have no interest in taking a DNA test, which is also fine. But I think that it just adds that extra little thing for you. It's not a little thing, that extra oomph for sure.
Yeah.
To your magical practice.
What's your background?
So I'm half Scottish. I did my DNA on every single thing there was to do it on. And I'm actually like 53% British Isles and, Irish, English, Scottish, and Isle of Man. And the rest is Nigerian.
Wow.
Right. So pretty cool. I'm super, super stoked. I mean, I knew that it was I was kind of hoping for something like, Asia would pop up.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I've got a little bit of native, which is typical for down south, because my father's African American and my whole family is Southern. Right. So they're all from the Southern states. My grandmother was from Alabama, so.
It's a lot of mixing of the blood that's
a lot of slaves.
Undocumented. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of slaves, it's funny because my people on my father's side were slaves, and some people on my mother's side were like KKK members. So it's really funny to know that, what would they think of me? I'm like this blend of everything that was not so, cool.
Well,
but I love it.
They were one was mass controlled and the other was mass manipulated.
Right.
Well, they're probably looking down on you going, cool. Like,
yeah, that's what I like to think. I like to think that maybe they were like, oh, okay, that's all right. That's all right. That's good. So yeah, I am definitely the product of some interesting stuff, which is super. It's always been awesome to me. I love being biracial. I'm so
interesting blessed. Too, as like, because the whole piece is like, after slavery, right? The African Americans or African Canadians, the piece of why, like, there's so many pieces to the puzzle, but one of the things is they say, like, if your culture is established long term, people are more successful in like every aspect of life, like relationship building, education, all of this stuff. And one of the pieces is that, the culture of African American is still very young. And it's obviously there's people at work, there's fingers and everything, but it's one of the reasons why, it's took a little bit longer to establish and this whole like Black Lives Matter thing. It's why it's taken so long. It's part of the puzzle.
Right.
But it's interesting to me that with these DNA tests, you can now find an identity. You're no longer part of this young culture that is the black American culture. You are part of that, but you're also part of Nigerian culture. Right. So that is so uplifting.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. And there's ones that you can take that actually will tell you
what tribes
you came from. And, so I'm going to do one of those next, because that really intrigues me. And it also, in magic, gives you a direction. Like maybe you were drawn to, Germanic stuff
or repelled by it.
Or yes, and there may be a reason for that. Once you see your DNA, you'll see, oh, that's why, like there's connections there that you might not know about. Or, my great-grandparents were German. I have a lot of German and, that's kind of cool. I've always been drawn to that part of Europe. And so, maybe that's the reason
there's
why,
a genetic,
right?
pull. Yeah.
Because there is, it's like, I use a lot of blood magic, and because it's one of the most powerful things you can do. It's got your DNA, which includes everything that came before you.
Yeah.
Everyone that came before you. That's like power beyond power, right?
Mm-hmm. I totally believe in that. I believe in ancestors. I believe in reincarnation. I believe in that strength and that energy. Yeah, so much. And I feel like I've had experiences where my ancestors have come to me.
Right. Most definitely. They're watching you. They've got your back.
I've literally felt like, in that astral plane sort of area, I felt like hands on my shoulders, and then another set of hands and another set of hands. And it was just felt so real. Like just telling me things were going to be okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I love that.
When you talk about it living in your blood, it lives in your blood, it lives in your cells, it lives in everything. It's who you are. It took how many people surviving to get to this point where you are alive.
Right? Totally. You're the product of everything that they've done. All their trials, tribulations, joys, sorrows, you are, and that I believe your feelings and your emotions permeate your blood and your tissues and your sin, and that is passed down genetically to you throughout the ages. So you carry all that within you, and you can harness it and use it for your greater good.
Yeah, if you're a white witch. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm definitely not a white witch. No.
The balance. It's a balance.
It's balance. I'm all about the balance. Nature is balance. The universe is balance. And, you can either balance it out or the universe will do it for you.
All right. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
Thanks so much for making time to speak with me and out of your busy event planning schedule.
Right. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun. And I look forward to seeing you in person again sometime soon.
Yeah, I'll come on down. I come look through the shop and see if I can find some mushrooms or... No, I'm just kidding. If you would like to know more about Cat and Monkey events, you can find the link to all of their events, as well as those happening through the BIA in downtown Niagara Falls on Queen Street, in the description. And if you'd like to learn more about witchcraft and casting spells, you can reach out to Kat directly, and I will leave her phone number in the description as well. If you would like to learn more about the programs that I offer through the Whimsy Art Loft, you can find the link to my website in the description as well. There you will find information on signing up for the upcoming fall art retreats, as well as the Creative Conversations Pen Pals project, which begins on September 24th. Okay, thank you for listening.